A and S.
It was a frappato, which is a great variety that is from Sicily.
I imagine Sarah Looper on a Saturday night at New York City's El Buco. A seasoned sommelier at this extra fancy restaurant in the village, Sarah moves from table to table, drawing you into a culinary experience that alights your senses and the moment. As she casts her spell over every foodie crowded into the posh establishment, she pours a wine that frolics across the palate. Both teacher and guide, the girlfriend you wish you had, and the expert whose knowledge knows no bound, Sarah and her effervescence can make a connoisseur out of anyone.
So Kelly Clarkson has not called yet, but that's okay. I mean, we've only just met.
I can't imagine how Sarah matches her serious wine expertise with the social media sensation Looper Som, Sarah's wildly successful Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok presence focused on democratizing wine. We recorded this episode at an event in New York where, I kid you not, fans young and old approached Sarah and fawned over how much they love the media she creates, the manner she weaves in her history studies, shout out, see you Boulder, and the person she is. I went into our interview assuming some dissonance between Sarah's interests or personas, but she is all about cultivation. Anders, grab yourself a playful cab or a sparkle of fresca. Sarah's stories amass an audience by describing bouquets of grapes lovingly tended over generations of winemakers. The old world's history poured right into your glass. On the Ampersand, we call this bringing together of the impossible the alchemy of anding. Together, we'll hear stories of humans who imagine and create by colliding their interests. Rather than thinking of and as a simple conjunction in that conjunction-junction kind of way, we will hear stories of people who see and as a verb, a way to speak the beautiful when you intentionally let the soft animal of your body love what it loves. As St. Mary Oliver asks, what is it you plan to do with your one wild and precious life? Oh, I love this question. When I'm mothering, creating, and collaborating, it reminds me to replace a singular idea of what I think I should become with a full sensory verb about experiencing. I'm Erika Randall. And this is Sarah Looper on the Ampersand.
For me, wine is much more about community. And I think an extension of that community, you have to slow down to connect. And yeah, a lot of Looper Som is about connection.
Looper Som. New word, bring it.
Looper Som is my brand.
Okay. I was like, because I know Looper, and I know, but I was like, wait a minute, is this a word about actually, like, so you made up a word, it's like anding. You made it up.
I did.
Yeah. So
actually, my husband did. I need to give him props.
You have Loopersomniacs. What do you call your fans? Because they are rabid. It's kind of wild. Like thousands of people who are vibing. Do you call them Loopersomniacs? What is your like?
I don't. I call them my community. I do not call them followers because I don't think they are lemmings. I think they all have.
Which is why they love you.
It's interesting. One of your assistants just said, "Oh, I watch all your videos on TikTok," and I've been noticing that. And I see it in the analytics on TikTok. My community skews younger on TikTok. And sometimes I'm like, why is an 18-year-old young man following me? I don't get it.
Because you're hilarious. Because I'm like, are we talking about wine or just comedy? Because it's so good. I can even watch them without the sound just to watch. I'm like, is that sped up? Like, that is an amazing amount of energy just coming out of that screen. Yeah.
Yeah, I do. I love wine.
So the community is there for it, but I'm watching, and I don't know you except for that I fell in love with you instantly when we met. I went to Tim. I was like, oh, I'm in trouble. I am in love with this human person.
Thank you. I also need to congratulate you on your podcasting voice. It is amazing. You have a great podcasting voice. Has everyone told you this?
Well, it's been funny because my wife has said, you need to do a podcast. I'm like, why? I'm just like, and then I have people who say, I listen to the podcast because you have a good podcast. And I was raised
as like NPR.
Oh my, stop, go on.
Yes.
Stop, go on.
Tell me more.
Tell me more about my amazing voice, because I was raised as a child who was told not to sing or put her face near a microphone. And so I was terrified of voice. And I listened to your voice on Instagram and I think, oh, you are such a good talker, but you are also a really good listener. Like you listen. So can you talk to me about how wine has helped you listen? Or do you think that it, from this idea of getting into your senses has drawn you into a listening space in new ways? Has it taught you how to listen, or were you always a good listener?
I think I was not always a good listener. You're looking at a gal who's been in therapy for more than 20 years.
Testify.
And it has helped me immensely. And I went in initially to therapy because I was always when I think of my childhood, I see the color red and I feel inner chaos. And I'm one of 6 kids.
All sisters?
No, 2 boys, 4 girls. And I'm one of the middle ones.
Oh my gosh.
And all from the same mom and dad, and it was 6 kids in 10 years. And it was, and my parents separated when I was 8, and then it took them 7 years to divorce, and it was nasty and contentious. And they put themselves and their
Collateral damage
for one another ahead of the kids. So the good thing, the great thing that came out of that was that all of my siblings, I'm going to choke up, we love one another and we have such a tight bond.
You can see it when, I mean, even just when your sisters have shown up on Instagram.
Oh,
you all
aren't they
love,
the best?
Yeah,
They're so funny.
And it did make me wonder, I'm like, oh, this is like Survivor comedy and Survivor love. Like you all,
it's the childhood trauma that made us funny because we were like, we need to find levity and life and
you see
joy.
And I think that that's also something that your audiences must feel, your community must feel, is that you have survived things and that you're not just being performatively something. So, because that was
I'm really not.
You're not. Like, because that was the thing. Is it a character or is it you?
No.
And hearing you talking about synesthesia, seeing red, really, truly. Yeah. And then the bonds that you have made with your siblings. It's not a character. This is like, be funny to live.
No, that's all me. Like, I do not put on, like, that is, and I was told as a kid, you're too much. You're too loud. You're too brassy. You're too. And when I pursued acting for 5 years, it was when my agent would send me out, I'd get callbacks, but I would never book the frickin' job.
Because you were too much?
I was too much. She's too Latin looking. She's too Italian looking. She's too athletic. She's too tall. Her hair's too curly.
So now you're like full curl, full athletics, full badass, full frontal, all Sarah, all the time. We're not going to stop this.
No, I'm not.
I love
I'm just going to keep going because
Cheers.
I believe in me and F all those other people.
Yeah. No, it's incredible. I mean, I think I've talked about this on the show too. As a dancer, I was always too much. I was like, oh, cut off your tits. Oh, you need to lose more weight. Oh, wrap your body in saran wrap. At the jail yard, they were especially like that.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And it's terrible. And you think, okay, I'm too much me to be me on the planet. So did you straighten your hair? Because your community talks about your hair as much as they talk about wine. I'm just here to say,
they talk about my hair,
they are obsessed.
Yeah, people ask me for my hair routine all the time. And I'm like, I wish I could share it with them but I'm a product whore. And I'm always like, is this going to be good for my hair? I have gels and serums and oils.
It depends on the humidity. It depends on the season.
Absolutely it does. Yeah.
But did you ever try to tone it down because you were told by your family you were too much or by your parents?
I was never told by my family that I was too much. It was other people. It was teachers. It was counselors. It was directors. It was even high school classmates.
Too much.
And I have a very thin skin. I think that's also why I did not succeed in acting, because I was like, I just got to a point where I'm like, if I'm too much, maybe you're not enough.
Thank you. That's the t-shirt we leave with today.
Yeah.
But did your siblings, they never think you're too much?
No, I'm the quiet one. I'm not kidding. You see the videos, Rebecca takes over a room. And my husband will say, oh, Sarah, you can walk into a room, you can take over a room. And my next thought is, not if Rebecca's there. Not if Rebecca's there.
And are any of you in theater? Because or on television? Because people really want the show. They're like, we want the
people
sister
really
show.
want. Yeah, they do.
They want the show.
And I'm trying to figure that out. Rebecca is a busy gal, and her pod is her husband Eddie and her daughter Gabs, and who's so fantastic. She's such a lovely young lady. My sister has done such a great job. I have 3 nieces on my family side, and then 2 nieces on Ryan's.
And you're super inty.
And I'm super auntie. And they're like, when can we hang out with Sarah?
Because she's the coolest.
And Judy. And like all of our nieces love Ryan and me because we're ding-dongs with them, you know?
And you've made your own version of family, it seems like, now.
Absolutely, yeah.
So
family, just because you are birthed into a family doesn't mean that you have to love that family and respect that family, because you tell people how to treat you. And if you don't set boundaries, then you will die a slow, toxic death.
Yeah. I'm going to pause right there for that, because boundaries.
Yeah.
That's the work.
And chosen family.
Chosen family.
Absolutely.
That's 1,000%. So you've got these thousands of community members who listen to your Instagram, and they are right there for it. We were talking about the pandemic and how maybe we drank a little much during the pandemic.
Oh, bitch, I did. I drank way too much. I went to my annual to see my doctor, and
sugar count? Was it your sugar?
No, she asked me. I was like, I'm a little fat right now, Dr. Buteman, and she was like, oh well, everyone's been drinking a lot. How much have you been drinking? And I told her, and her eyebrows went to her brow line, and she was like, what? And I was
it's like, my job.
I'm sorry. But as soon as you stop drinking so much, the weight comes off.
Yeah, but you didn't
start walking more.
But you didn't lie to your doctor. Like you said the number. I don't know if I've ever, I think I still underestimate on the form. I'm like, one time I said, did the numbers go on the back? You know how they stop at 10 glasses a week? And I was like, does the page turn over? Oh my God. That's how I felt during the pandemic. It was so bad.
You created your own scale.
I did. I had to go to the back.
Yeah.
But, so you have slowed down on the drinking, but still, wine is your life. Wine and food. Mm-hmm. As a history major, I'm wondering about context. Or when you're talking about wine, you're talking about the regions. You're talking about the technical aspects of wine. You have to know history. You have to know context. You have to know region. You have to know science. You have
geography,
to know
geology.
All of it. Talk to me about how you got to this path, because I couldn't suss that out on my snooping around. And I'm really eager to hear how someone who's as whip smart could take the focus of this and decide, this is going to be my letter to the world.
It's funny. I kind of fell into it. And I haven't really sat down to think about how the dots are all connected, but they're all there. They're a constellation, and they do create a form. I started cooking because my mom is a terrible cook. Sorry, Mom.
We're not editing that out.
No, but all of us are really good cooks. All 6 of us are good cooks.
And you have a sister who's a chef, who is actually like a chefin'?
No,
just a cook. You're all cooks.
So we all know how to cook.
Okay, that's amazing.
And my older sister Rachel had received the cookbook, The Joy of Cooking. And I think she was 12. She was a big baker. She still is a big baker. And I asked her, I was like, hey, can I borrow your book? I was 8. And
you could lift that thing? That thing is heavy.
It's a tome. It's massive. And I don't know how I got into my head that I wanted to make bechamel, which is a mother sauce.
Yeah.
And it provided a quiet moment for me to follow instructions. And I remember the first time I tasted it as it was cooking, because you have to put it into the oven and you have to baste the clove-studded onion. And I remember tasting it for the first time. And I think that's probably when I noticed that I had synesthesia.
I was going to say this, the way you're just moving looks like your body knew something.
Yeah, it was like a window opened, and the texture and the creaminess and the layers of flavor, and there are lactic notes and nutty notes and herbal notes and allium notes and spice notes, and it was like this not exactly a Venn diagram, but it was just this compilation of flavors and layers. And
at 8 years old, you remember that coming open for you.
Yes.
Because your mother was a terrible cook. You've never had that experience before.
No, if my mom could grill spaghetti, she would. Getting to wine, I started in restaurants when I was 16 and just waiting tables and washing dishes and being a bus girl.
On Long Island, or did you come to the city?
On Long Island, I started coming to, my first job in the city was at a place called Saranac that no longer exists. It was Upper Madison in the 90s. And I just started to, the money was good, but what I loved about, and still love about restaurants is the food. You're around the flavors, you're around people, you're around community, you're around people who want to be there and enjoy themselves. It really is. It really is. Like, I cannot imagine sitting at a desk.
No, it's like theater. I mean, it is so much like the world of theater. Everyone's got their jobs, the choreography of bodies, the shorthand, the exchange that can happen in ways that actually does feel like we have built our own lexicon. We are a community. It's pretty magical.
Yeah.
And exhausting.
Yeah, it can be. It can be, but it's so fun. It really does give me a lot of energy, and it's vibrant.
But you came all the way up, dishwasher to now food and wine.
Wine director. Yeah, I was a wine director for many years at the Metropolitan Opera House. Yeah. For a James Beard Award-winning chef.
What was it like being the wine director at the Opera House? Like, that's kind of, how do you, like, as someone who's like from the New Yorkness, does that feel like, or does it feel like it's actually not as sexy as it sounds? Because that sounds real sexy.
It was simultaneously both, because you have clientele with the last name of Kennedy and Chartouni and Clinton and RBG.
No big deal.
RBG came in, and
that was the one.
My pants turned brown every time she came in. I'd be like,
I would imagine that the wine industry it's got to be kind of competitive.
Extremely.
Right? Like, that is. So competition for you. I mean, you were one of 17 children, so you had to fight for food. You had to fight for cabinet chicken, even if it was terrible. You're like, competition, let's go. Yeah. And as you started to understand that you had a brain that could see flavor and taste color and bring language forward with your palate, did being a sommelier feel like, oh my God, this is it? Like putting on those perfect jeans, which they're so rare, those perfect jeans. Did this feel for you like perfect jeans? That this was the job, and now I'm going to rock this job?
You know, it really does suit me, and I didn't realize it. Working in some hoity-toity restaurants in New York, when I went out to the Culinary Institute of America in the Napa Valley for an accelerated baking and pastry program, I was like, I'm going to be the best pastry chef.
I'm going to win.
Yes.
I know, I saw that on your CV too. So you were kind of going that route.
I was going to the food route, yeah. And
in Napa. Dun dun.
Well, I chose that one because I already had my degree from CU, and I didn't want to go to Hyde Park and do a 2-year program. And I was like, that's not what I want to do.
So you went to wine country.
I did. And as a New Yorker, I was like, I'm a New Yorker. I do not have a car. I'm going to walk everywhere, and I want a job on campus. And I bugged the wine director, a gal named Tracy Dutton, who is still one of my mentors and a fantastic taster, and really instilled in me the last and always most important question is, was the wine delicious? Because if it's not delicious, don't waste your time on it. So I bugged her for a job in the wine cellar because I thought that I knew so much about wine. I was like, I've worked at Union Square Cafe and Oceana and all these places. And so she gave me a shot. And so I worked in the wine cellar from 8 a.m. to noon. And then I did the baking and pastry class from 1 p.m. to 9 p.m. And that was 5 days a week. And
double education at the same time.
Yeah. And then I started working after I earned the certificate. I wanted to be a wedding cake designer, and I made 2 wedding cakes. And I quickly realized I did not want brides.
I was going to say, why do you want brides? You don't want brides.
Well, and their mothers.
Oh my God.
No shade to brides.
No, we love brides.
I was a bride myself.
I've twice, and I love being my last dress had so many feathers on it.
I love it.
I was like, what do you do at 50 for a second wedding? Oh, do you turn it down?
You turn it up. Yes.
That's what you do.
Yes,
that's what you do. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So you said 2 cakes. Nope.
I was like, no. Yeah. And I had fallen in love with wine and was totally bitten by the wine bug. And
did language help you fall in love with wine? Because I hear you talk and I'm like, I'm in love with wine. Oh my God, that is the sexiest story I've ever heard about wine.
Wine is about stories. Wine is about people and connections. Wine is not about alcohol. Wine is an agricultural product. It runs out. There are bad years where the crop is smaller, and then there are bumper years and there's an abundance. And then sometimes you have a glut because you have abundant years back to back to back. And every vintage is different unless you work at a place where you have to create a consistent product.
And so when you're getting to you're getting people warmed up so that they can come into a tasting experience. Mm-hmm. They have to know themselves. They have to start to be okay that the wine maybe isn't the like, it's not always about the wine. It could be me. Like, it really could be that.
Yeah. The pH of your mouth.
The pH. So how do you warm people up to not feel wrong when they're going to talk about wine or experience wine or feel like, oh, this is a really great bottle, but to me, Or what is your move? What is your move to get a room together, to create community and to get comfortable? And Tim and I were joking like, oh, do you have to just drink wine first to get their inhibitions down and then they can talk about the wine? Or what's your path to that? How do you warm up the space?
When I teach my Vino Vocab class, one of the first things I do is I thank them for being there and tell them that life is 95% of life is showing up. And they're not showing up for me, they're showing up for themselves. And because they are curious and they want to know more, and that this is a very safe space and you can ask any question that you want. And if I don't know it, I'm going to Google it. But then I'll translate the wine into English, whatever that definition is that they're looking for. I also have everyone high five, because I think I either read it or heard it on a podcast that the winningest basketball teams all high-fived before they went on the court.
Oh, we should have done. I'm sorry. Yeah. Oh, that was solid.
Yeah.
Okay. It was like we did it before because we're doing great. Okay. Yeah. So you high-five before.
And I go around the table and I high-five everybody so that people feel like they are a part of this class. And I have people who have taken Vino Vocab 2, 3, 4 times.
So you give your students freedom to like have a visceral experience, be like, oh,
yeah,
and then start to learn where is that coming from, in their body. That's kind of therapeutic. It's therapeutic. I think that's what you're doing. It's getting people in touch. And in touch. It's not we're going to drink to shut down. We're going to drink to open up. We're going to taste. We're going to explore our palate and maybe say words that we never thought would come out of our faces. Like, there's a little bit of smoke on the back end.
Yeah. And in my Vino Vocab class, I actually do go into brain science and olfactory science.
Okay, so I'm going to ask you this question later, but I have a character who's a young boy who the first line of his story is Thomas Dorley was a born sommelier. And he knows things through his senses. And I think he has synesthesia after talking with you. So I might ask you if I could have you as, I'm going to ask you this in the future when we're not on microphones, if maybe you would help me write better about what it is to have synesthesia and be a sommelier, because I think my character needs you. I think he needs to be.
I mean, I'd be very happy to help at any point.
Okay.
But I didn't know that I had synesthesia.
Yeah, you just are learning it.
And what's crazy, this is a crazy story. It was just over the summer, I think it was in June. I was at Il Buco, and there were 4 tops sat down, 2 couples, an older couple and a younger couple. The younger couple said, oh, the woman in the younger couple, you're on Instagram. I watch your videos. I love the way you talk about wine. She
recognized you.
She did. And she was like, I love the way you talk about wine. I'm going to pick out a bottle. And I was like, great, great, great. Nice, nice. So she ends up picking a bottle. And it was a Frappato, which is a grape variety that is from Sicily. And it's high-toned, crunchy, like floral raspberry and bright acidity. And it's a very playful, frisky wine. So she picks it, I serve it, she accepts it, I pour it around. I go back 10 minutes later to top off other people's glasses. And it must have happened that the younger lady who ordered the wine was speaking with the other couple, the older couple, because the older woman said, I love this wine. How would you describe it? And I described it the same way that I said it to you. And I used the word frisky. And she said, can I ask you a question? And I was like, yeah. And she goes, when you have pain, do you see color? And I said, yes, sometimes. And, it takes shape, and sometimes it's circular, and sometimes it has jagged edges. And depending on where the pain is or how intense the pain is, it can change color. And she asked me a few more questions, and then she goes, did you know that you have synesthesia? And I said, what is that? And what's crazy is that just 2 days prior, I had taught a Lambrusco class on Instagram. And somebody right after the class wrote me and said, do you have synesthesia?
Like,
and I said,
what is this word?
That? I was like, what is that? So I Googled
Within
it.
2 days, this is coming at you.
Yes. And I was like, I don't think I do. And then this woman, her name is Carol Steen, and she lives literally 3 doors down from Il Bucco. And she's a wealth of information. And I said to her, we ended up chatting afterwards because I was busy and doing my job, whatever. And then after they finished, I met them outside and we were just chatting. And she was asking me all these follow-up questions. Apparently there are 70 different kinds of synesthesia. I do not have the most common ones, which are like when you see numbers, they have male or female energies, or when you see certain letters, they take on certain colors. And everyone's synesthesia is unique. And once I put those two things together, I was like, oh my God, that makes so much sense, because there are some things that I will smell or taste and I will see movement. It'll be smooth, or it'll snake, or it will be jagged, or it will feel sharp or feel soft. Or
it's perfect for your gig though.
It is. It really does. It really helps me communicate what the wine is about and weave in the geology and the geography. And also, like when I texted Tim earlier, your producer, and I saw the last 4 digits of his phone number, I was like, oh my God, that is 2 years after Joan of Arc was burned at the stake.
Oh my God.
And I was like, oh my God, that's like around the 100 Years' War when that was started.
And
that's
can't
where my
not
history.
Connect.
Yeah, and I can't not connect. So when I go on wine trips and people are like, oh yeah, we started this winery. We're on like the whatever craziest generation, and we started in the 1500s. I'm like, oh, the Spanish Armada was in 1588. Like I can't not connect the dots. Which
has got to be so exciting for people, because you're bringing in so many different contexts or potential contexts for people to arrive and connect and be present with you.
Yeah.
Okay, we're going to have a tasting.
Oh, we are?
Yeah, but it's, I got this grapefruit soda from the bar upstairs. Okay, this is Spindrift. So if you don't mind opening it, this is before the quick and dirty. Well, this is kind of, I don't know, you're a new listener. Thank you for that excellent radio. God, Ira Glass is so proud. Just talk to me.
You want me to smell it and then taste it?
I want you to do what you do. You don't have your eye covering, so we're not going to get as intimate.
Okay. So, let's see. So this is Spindrift sparkling water, grapefruit flavor. I do love grapefruit.
Oh, good. I'm glad I chose well.
Okay. So it really does smell like ruby red grapefruit, and it smells like the juice. Do you Supreme when you...
I've never Supremed. I'll just say, I see your gestures. And I hear the word Supreme, and I'm like, nope, I have not Supremed.
This is like when you go to fancy restaurants and on the dessert plate, there are segments of citrus and they don't have the membrane around them.
Yes, that's Supreming.
You Supreme, yes. And you just take out the nubbins, the insides. I don't know the technical term.
Nubbins is perfect.
The nubbins outside, you remove it from the membrane. So it smells like the nubbin and the freshly squeezed juice after you finish Supreming.
Yeah.
You squeeze the membrane to get all the juice out, because you'll use that juice later for a sabayon or a sorbet or whatever. It's really one-noted, and it smells just like ruby red grapefruit. So that was on the nose, on the palate. On the palate, the flavor is not as intense as it was on the nose. It's a little muted. It feels and tastes a little diluted, actually, comparatively, flavor-wise, on the flavor intensity scale.
So it came in hot, but didn't land that way.
Yeah, did not land that way. But I have consumed this in the past, and it is good. I do like it.
Is this a good year?
Oh, my God. Spindrift should sponsor Looper Som. would you send me cases of this and I can talk about all your flavors? No problem. Give you tasting notes, help you sell, do ads. No, but it is good. What I like about it is that the finish is quite long and consistent. And it does not change. It doesn't morph into artificial or
That's huge.
saccharin or...
Do you say this to your husband as well?
Yeah, we talk about this all the time, actually. We talk about how things change. And because of the pH of your palate, I also had a coffee and water. What you have on your palate prior to wine tasting or whatever it is that you're tasting plays a big role. Is if you had black coffee versus the coffee that you made into a candy bar, or a really alcoholic drink like a Negroni, and then you jump into wine, it makes a really big difference as to how the wine presents on your palate. And you should try to reset by having a piece of baguette or a cracker, even if you just rinse water through your mouth. And you can spit it out or swallow it. So just to help your palate reset even just a little bit makes a difference when you go into your wine.
Okay, it's time.
Okay.
We're going to do the quick and dirty. And I said to producer Tim, like, I always win this, but I think you're going to win. Like, I'm not even worried. Like, I think you're going to actually win the quick and dirty. So you're new to listening to the podcast, but at the end, we do the thing called the quick and dirty where we ask questions. You have to say either this and this and this, which you've already done a million times. So you've already been winning this whole interview. Or you can put an and in a thing like, a taste that you don't want to get at the last sip of wine, sand. So then there's the and in that. Okay, you ready? All right, worst drink combination that you had when you were turning 21 or around that time when we were just starting to drink. Like for me, peach schnapps and M&Ms.
Ooh. Goldschlager. I barfed glitter. Fuck, that was the worst. And that was a Boulder.
I can see that.
Yeah.
Because especially gold is being one of our colors. So Goldschlager and...
I think it was a Goldschlager and Jägermeister shot.
Stop it. Oh.
And I was like, it's coming back up.
Do you remember where you were?
I was at a house party. I don't remember where
Somewhere
it was.
on the hill.
Somewhere
on the hill. Okay. Someone like people who you either have in the past or in the future that you are either like super excited or terrified to pair for. Like we were talking about RBG already. Like someone that you'd be like, oh God, I'm really. You don't want to screw this one up. You really want to get it right. You really want to.
Richard Chamberlain. Have you guys seen the Thornbirds?
Oh, back in the day?
Yes.
Oh, yes. The old.
I had he was my first crush. And I was working at Union Square Cafe.
And that's who springs to mind.
I was working at Union Square Cafe, and it was summertime.
Yeah.
And during pre-shift, we knew he was coming in, and then it was, Sarah, he's going to be in your section. And my hands immediately started to sweat. I was like, oh my God, the hot priest.
Oh my God, the hot priest. And that music,
oh my God.
The theme song.
So I went downstairs, I got them water, and I went downstairs to go get them their drinks. And I told the service bartender, and I was like, you have no idea how much I love Richard Chamberlain. And the service bartender goes, you know he's gay, right? I was like, I do not care. I love him. I will love him till the day I die. And so I go back upstairs, and they were with their drinks, drop off the drinks, and I went to go refresh their waters. And I was still like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. And I picked up his glass to refill his water. And he was, as I'm standing at the table, he's on my left. So I pick up his water glass with my left hand. And as a server, you pick it up at the base. You don't pick it up at the lip because you don't want your germy hands at the lip of their glass. So I pick it up from the bottom of the glass. And as I'm refilling the water, it slips out of my hands because of all the condensation. It bounces off the table and goes right into his crotch. And it was a ton of ice water. And I was like, and I said out loud, oh my God, I can't believe I just poured water all over Richard Chamberlain. And he was like, it's totally okay, my dear. It's totally fine. And I went, I love you too. I loved you in the Thornbirds.
You spilled it all, not just the water.
And this lovely human being, he was like, thank you so much. And I was like, I'll go get some towels. And I was like, fuck.
But you could pair for him now that you've already done the worst.
I have.
You've already spilled cold water in his crotch.
I hope he listens to this.
Yeah, me too.
Is he a CU grad?
We're going to find out. But he might be a fan of the Flatirons, and so he could have become a listener to the podcast. We don't know.
God, I'd love it.
Okay.
If someone knows him, please forward him this.
Okay, yeah, we're going to but I'm just, for the rules, going to say Richard Chamberlain, just to land the...
Oh. Richard Chamberlain and...
there's
you know who I loved pairing for was Catherine Hahn.
Ah.
Oh, she's great. And you know who else? Sam Rockwell.
Oh, my... Ooh.
They are wine people, and they are fun.
They get it.
They get it.
Yeah.
Yep.
I love that. Okay, that's beautiful. All right. I'm going to give you a list of things, and you're going to do wine pairings. And this is going to be to talk to your synesthesia, your experience, maybe your memory, your imagination.
I'm going to close my eyes.
Yeah, close your eyes. All right. A wine pairing for Dancing at the Fox.
Oh, my God. My eyes just flew open.
Yeah, they did.
Champagne.
A wine pairing for a week in the woods, after a week in the woods, when you've had no wine. After a week in the woods, what do you want to drink?
Champagne. But I will always drink champagne. After a week in the woods, I think I would want something refreshing and that brings me back to life. I would say Verdicchio. And Verdicchio from Metallica.
Not to be too specific, not to put a fine point on it.
Right.
Okay, a wine pairing for homesickness.
I think Cerdon de Bouget. It's a gently sparkling pink, mostly dry, meaning very little residual sugar. It's something that is, for me, is very comforting. It's one of my desert island wines.
First love.
Burgundy. White Burgundy. The fucking awesome Chablis. And particularly, I would do Grand Cru Vaudiseur. That is my favorite Climat of all of the Grand Crus in Burgundy.
Okay, mine too now. Okay, and then a wine pairing for the first snow of the season in New York.
Zinfandel.
Boom. Done and done.
Okay.
Last part. You have to send a toast, a blessing, raise a glass to... And it starts with and so it could be to a group of your favorite people, to people who are going off into an adventure. It could be but you are lifting a glass, and then just lift us up, send us home.
Go fucking get it. And don't you ever stop.
That was Sarah Looper, wine educator, sommelier, and CU history alum on the Ampersand. To follow Sarah and fall as in love with her as I am, you can find her on TikTok and Instagram @LooperSom. The Ampersand is a production of the College of Arts and Sciences at the University of Colorado Boulder. It is written and produced by me, Erika Randall, and Tim Grassley. If there are people you'd like us to interview on the Ampersand, do please email us at asinfo@colorado.edu. Our theme music was composed and performed by Nelson Walker, and the episodes are recorded at Interplay Recording in Boulder, Colorado. I'm Erika Randall, and this is The Ampersand.